Hi Shirali, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Can you tell me something about yourself?
Yes, sir. So, first, I'm truly grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Shirali Jain. I
Mhm.
have completed my bachelor's in computer application, followed by master's in computer application in 2017. Following my education, I dedicated my last 7 years working as an IT in charge of a primary school. And during this time, I oversaw various administrative and IT tasks and the handling students' databases,
Mhm.
ensuring the daily operation of activities. And recently, I got certification of ISTQB CTFL. So I'm ISTQB certified tester right now, and I'm fresher.
Oh, great. Congratulations. So how much did you score?
So 34 marks out of 40.
Okay, that sounds great. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. So why are you looking for a job in the field of software testing? You have been working as a faculty. You were telling you were working as a teacher.
No, sir. I was working as a IT in charge.
IT in
I
charge. Okay.
Yes, sir, of primary school. But
Mm-hmm.
I have very curiosity and I am very passionate about the softwares and of this industry. And throughout these years, I maintained my passion for this software and technology. And I kept myself updated with the latest trends and advancement in the software industry.
Mm-hmm.
Dedicated my free time in the self study or online courses.
Okay.
So now I want to switch in the software testing field.
Right, right. Okay. What do you mean by gray box testing?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by gray box testing? If you can help me with the definition, explanation of gray box testing and any example that you can correlate with it.
Sir, gray box testing, it is the combination of white box and black box testing. It's
Correct.
called gray box testing. The database testing we have done is the
Hmm.
example of gray box testing.
Okay, fine. Then what is white box testing?
So white box testing is testing basically the internal structure of the application, and white
Hmm.
box testing is basically done by the developers or the person who knows the internal logic and codes of the application. So this is the white box testing. We don't. Uh, we will check the codes are written properly or not. The testing done on the code is called white box testing.
Okay, fine. So what do you mean by integration testing?
So integration testing is basically the when we integrate any module
Hmm.
software into modules and sub modules, and we are basically checking the data flow between the those modules is called integration testing. For example, we will take the example of calculator. There are various modules in the calculator, that one is for the addition, another is subtraction, multiplication, division. All these are the different modules of calculator. So basically we are checking the data flow between these modules, that it is working correctly. If we want to add two numbers, and then we have to subtract the result or output of that number with a particular number, so checking the data flow between these operations is called integration testing.
Okay. Then what is the difference between end-to-end testing and integration testing?
Oh, sir, end-to-end testing is the testing like overall testing of the software system, that
Hmm.
uh, testing the software is working according to the as expected or according to the requirements is called end-to-end testing. We will test every functionality of the software, and the integration testing is we will divide the software into smaller modules, and we will check the data flow between those modules.
Mm-hmm. Okay. See, let's say you get this question in a real-time interview. What is the difference between the two? then you can cover all these points. So is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is
Hmm.
visible.
So you were right. End-to-end testing is covering the entire application flow.
Yes,
Integration testing, it is focusing on the interaction between the two modules. Now, the objective of end-to-end testing is the whole system should work fine. Whereas in integration testing is the objective is the modules that you are interacting. So let's say you are combining A and B, both the modules that should integrate properly and the outcome should be proper.
yes, sir.
So end-to-end testing, if you take the level of the testing, it is called as high-level testing, whereas integration testing is still mid-level testing. And you are correct, it is you are checking the data flow and the interfaces between the two components, whereas in end-to-end testing, you will be checking the various scenarios and the workflows itself. In end-to-end testing, you are testing the full e-commerce, let's say with respect to e-commerce application, if you take an example, Amazon,
Yes,
Flipkart. So you are testing the full e-commerce checkout process. Whereas in integration, you might be testing the integration of the payment gateway with order processing, right?
yes, yes, sir.
So yeah, that's how it is done. And whenever you get the question in an interview, so try to give answers in a structured format. So first you can give theoretical explanation. Then
Okay,
you
sir.
can give some real-time examples. And then you can explain practically how you would be approaching that problem. So if you're getting differences like these kind of questions, that you have to tell difference between the two types of testing. This is one of the example, end-to-end versus integration. One more can be retesting versus regression, sanity versus smoke, then
Yes.
load versus stress testing, all these things. So these are the major bullet points which you have to focus. Scope, from which
Scope and
perspective,
objective. Okay.
objective, focus, what kind of level, any examples. In an interview, it would be good if you highlight some real-time examples so that the interviewer can come to know, okay, the candidate is not just having theoretical knowledge, but he or she is also having the real-time knowledge with them.
Okay, sir.
Okay, right?
Sure, sir.
So this is good. Okay, now let's go to the next question. Are you aware about internationalization and localization testing?
Yes, sir. Globalization and localization testing.
Right.
Globalization testing is valid for the multiple regions.
Hmm.
For example, if any app which is available in all the languages, say
Hmm.
for example, we will take shadi.com as
Right.
an example.
Right.
So the particular app is available in multiple languages, so that people from different regions can
Hmm.
use the application, and the testing we perform on that type of application is called globalization testing. And the second one is localization testing,
Hmm.
that for example, if we are building any app that are that any particular language is used, that app is available in any one particular language, that is English or Hindi, and in some reason,
Hmm.
so that app, the testing this that type of application is called localization testing.
Hmm.
We can take example of banking applications.
Right.
Most probably the banking applications are available in limited languages,
Hmm.
depending on the region where the bank is located. So this the testing performed on that banking application is called localization testing.
Okay. Now, as you are aware about this internationalization testing, so let's say you have got a software
Okay, sir.
in which you have to do testing of date and time formats in the different locals. So how would you do that, and what approach will you take to ensure correct currency values are correctly displayed? See, these two questions are related to your localization as well as internationalization testing. Let's say you
Okay.
are a part of one testing team, QA team, and this particular user story, which is related to testing of date and time formats and the currency values, this has been assigned to you. So, what approach would you take, and how will you do the testing?
So first, I will ask for the proper requirement of
Mm.
this, for a proper requirement for this testing, so that in
Correct.
the requirement they will mention the the country, all
Hmm.
the list of the countries, and if they are providing the time formats and date format. Date formats are actually the same all
Hmm.
over the country, but there is some difference in the time format. So it is better if all the timings are mentioned in the requirement document, so I can test with the reference of the document. Or if by chance not available in the requirement documents, I will
Hmm.
collect information, I will gather information first about the timings, and I will do the testing accordingly to the time format.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I will also check the compatibility of the application, that it will work on every phase, means every device and every browser also.
Right. So that's compatibility testing. Now let's say you are telling no. So along with the user story, you have got the BRD document attached to it, or in the user story itself, in the acceptance criteria, it is written that your application, your software should support Asian countries, European countries, right? US, UK, all these countries it should support. So how would you test this? And what would be the approach?
Sir, approach is that I will gather all the information about the Asian and European countries, what are their needs and what are their time formats.
Right.
And
So those, yeah, those time formats and those currency values are also given to you, right?
yes, sir.
Now, yeah, now how would you test date and time formats, and how would you ensure that proper currency values are being displayed? For example, in test cases, you will have some expected result, actual result, right?
Yes,
Definitely,
yes,
expected result you would be reading from the document, you would be referring the requirement user story.
yes.
How would you test that?
Sir, I will apply the test case techniques for designing the test cases.
Hmm.
Like I can apply equivalence partitioning. I will partition the given data
Okay.
because the data is very huge.
Right.
If we get the data of Asian and European countries, the definitely the data will be very huge. So I can use the technique like equivalence class partitioning or boundary value analysis. If they have given some range of the data, so I can use boundary value analysis at that time.
Hmm.
So this will help me to reduce the number of the test cases that I have to design.
Hmm. Okay.
And
So, yeah,
yes, sir.
what else? Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Sir, so I will use this type of technique, and it is considered that in boundary value analysis, we are checking basically the boundaries of maximum and minimum limits
Hmm.
of our given data. And in equivalence class partitioning, it is considered that if we test any single value, test with a single value in the equivalence class partitioning, it is considered that all the other values will give the same result. So if any one value pass the result, pass the test, so we will consider that every other value in the particular partition will pass our test cases.
Okay. So, okay. So you are telling about the test case techniques, that is boundary value analysis, equivalence partitioning.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Now let me tell you the answer. See, so both the things you can answer here. Let me. Hmm. See, the answer of the first question is, so whenever you get this question in an interview with respect to your approach, yes. So first is you would be designing your test cases, and you can go with two approaches. One is your manual testing approach, one is your automation testing. You might be, what you can do is you can create the test script of validating the date and time format in different regions by
Yes,
using a data-driven framework, right? That is completely an automation thing. But by
automation.
manual testing as well, what you can do is you can create one Excel file. What you can do is uh, in an Excel file, you can create 2 to 3 columns. One column is about the region which you are referring to. One column is about the date. One column is about the time. These
Okay.
are all expected results. Same three columns you can repeat for actual result, and then you can compare expected versus actual. In a single day, it is not possible to test all the date and time formats for all the locals. So how you
Yes.
should answer is, you would be validating, let's say, for 20 regions in one day, or maybe for 30 regions in one day when you get the build. And at the end of the day, you would be sending that test result, whatever testing progress that you have done, a kind of a status to your leads or managers, and you will be updating them that, let's say, you have to test for 100, and out of that 30 regions you have tested. So 30% testing has been done for now,
Okay.
and you will keep them updated. So what you will do is, you will do the testing with respect to the dates and the time values, and you can do manual testing, you can do automation testing, you can keep your leads and managers updated, right? And you will be validating all those things. This is with respect to the first question: how do you test date and time formats?
Date and time formats. Okay.
Now, what approach do you take to ensure currency values? Again, this is also important because, as you were referring to banking application, so over there, the currencies would be changing.
Yes.
Hmm. So what you will do again, you will configure the application for different locals. So again, you can create one Excel file, or you can create one in the test environment, you can create a test data with different locations, so that whenever you are doing the payment, you are able to select different products with different locations, and you can check what are the currencies displayed over there. For example, if you are testing with respect to India region, you can check if rupee is displayed. If you are
Yes.
checking for abroad, you can check, okay, dollar is being displayed, euros are displayed, pounds is being displayed. So such kind of test data creation you will have to do. And once it is done from the front end testing, then you can also validate at the back end testing in the database whether those values are coming properly or not. So both front end as well as back end testing you can do here,
Go for it.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. So you can explain in this manner.
So actually, I'm fresher, so don't
Okay.
have that much
Yeah.
deep
No worries.
knowledge.
Yeah, no worries. So see, these kind of questions would be asked to you in an interview. Try to think from an analytical perspective. If you get
Okay.
this kind of a task, if you are having a job and if you get this kind of a task, you cannot deny for any task. You will have to start. See, every experienced person was a fresher at one point of time.
Yes,
So
definitely.
that zero step you will have to take. And no one will be expecting you to do 100% of the work in first 6 months. But yes, you should be progressive. You should be doing 20%, 25%, 30%, 40%. And that's how you have to increase your knowledge. And simultaneously, you have to give the output as well. Because if you will not give output, then automatically they will put you in PIP, or they'll change your project, or they might move you from testing to support projects, right? Those kind
Okay.
of things might happen. But see, I'm happy with the theoretical knowledge that you have. At least you know what are the basics, you know the fundamentals, what is internationalization testing, what is localization, gray box testing. Now, as soon as I came to know in the first two questions you are clear with the theoretical, so I started asking the practical questions. Okay.
Practical.
So these
Yes.
kind of things will happen in an interview as well. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Now let's move to the next question. Okay. Can you provide an example of a defect with high priority and low severity?
Priority must be high.
Hmm. Priority must be high and severity must be low.
So whenever we in the testing we found defect in the like disclaimer and privacy policy, there are some pages are there in any application that very few users will use that feature. That is very handful of users can read privacy policy and disclaimers. So if we are clicking that feature, and if the screen the application is not working and that page is not loading on timely basis, so this is the case of high priority, so and low severity, because this feature is not impacting the actual and major functionality of any application. It does not impact on that. So this severity is very low, but priority is high, because it directly regarding that there are some users who are using and go through this function also. So we have to um, acknowledge this thing, and it must be on high priority to get this defect is on high priority, and we have to fix that defect as soon as possible.
Okay, fine. Now let me share my screen. Is the screen visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a website and you have got this drop downs here. So the different product types you have: credit card, all cards, accounts, deposits, loans, FASTag, life insurance, and so on and so forth. So there are multiple type of products here.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Now your manager comes to you and they tell you that Shirali, you need to complete this testing in 2 days. So can you tell me what would be your test strategy?
Okay, sir, I
Mm.
have to test this particular drop down list only, or the
Yeah.
whole page?
No, no, this drop down. So this drop down, let's say there are multiple products available:
Yes,
credit
sir.
card, all cards, accounts, deposits, loans, FASTag, and there are multiple options. Now, let's say if I select travel insurance, so
Yes,
again, it has got its own subtypes.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So how would you test this particular thing? You have 2 days to test. What would be your test strategy? What is test
um,
strategy? Are you aware about that?
Test strategy is basically a document, or our planning that how to execute our test. This is the high level document in which all the test cases and test data are written.
So
Is it right, sir?
are you sure test planning and test strategy is same? Is-
uh, no, not the same. Test
Yeah.
plan must
Then
be
what is
different,
the
but strategy is same. We
yeah?
cannot change the test strategy, we can
So
change
what
the
is the
test plan
difference
accordingly.
between the two? Test plan and test strategy. What is the difference between the two?
Test strategy is a high level document which includes the test plan, test cases, and all the test datas and
Hmm.
everything. And the test plan is changed according to the need of the software or need of the testing, that according to the software we will change the test plan, but test strategy is similar for all the testing approaches, testing fields.
See, in simple words, if you have to tell this answer, test plan is what are the different things that you have to test. You'll be documenting, you will be creating a list of all the items that you need to test. Test strategy is how you would be doing that, how you would be testing it, right? That is your test strategy. Okay. Now, coming to this question, you have two
Yes.
days of time. Okay.
Okay.
And your manager is expecting you to complete this testing in 2 days. So, how would you ensure that you are covering most of the testing? I'm not telling that you would be able to cover 100% of testing, but yes, you should be able to at least cover 80 to 90% of testing in these 2 days. So, what would be your approach? What would be your strategy?
Sir, as a time constraint is there, that I have only 2 days of
Mhm.
timing. So first, I will look after the test cases which are of high priority, P0 and P1. I will go with the test cases which are of
Mm.
high priority. So, like the basic functionality and the most critical and major functionality of this particular drop down list has been checked. I will go for the spellings check, and I will click the particular field, so it will go through. I mean, it will work as expected or not. And the second thing, I will ask to the development team, or my test leads for any help, that if any help is available. So
Correct.
so anyone can help me, so it will minimize my work.
Hmm.
And yes, I will distribute my work, so I will cover the most of the test cases in 2 days. And at the time of the sign off, I will brief them also that I had covered all these P0 high priority test cases, and the rest are, because of the time constraint, I did not go with the rest of the test cases. So I will tell them or inform them that I had covered this is the list of the test cases, and I had covered the testing.
Correct, correct. See, uh, most of the points I think you covered in this answer. You will go through the test cases. You will identify which are the high priority test cases. You will test
Yes,
them
sir.
first.
Yes,
And once the testing is done, you will seek some help from your managers and leads. If any other member is available to join you for testing for 2 days, then you will seek that help. And during that course of testing, if you are finding any defect, any issue, any P0 critical kind of a defect, then you will immediately raise that as an escalation and you'll get them fixed.
yes,
During the sign off, if the entire testing is not completed, you will keep a note of in the Jira tool or whichever the tool that you are using. You'll keep a
yes,
note of what are the different test cases that you have covered, how much is completed, and how much is still pending. But you will
yes,
ensure there is no obvious issue being left out. Now
yes,
here, in the starting point, in the answer, the you made a start that the test cases are already written and
yes,
you will go through the higher priority test cases. What if the
yes.
test cases are not written? Then what would be your approach? Will you write the
So,
test cases and then will you test?
no, sir, I will maintain the documentation part also, but a very high level documentation I will do that. Only the critical functionality I will cover, and very high level test cases I will write. So means the actual sorry, I can't tell in the words that very the test cases with the highest priority, that this functionality must be checked. So I will cover that test cases only.
So what if you don't have any documentation, you don't have any test cases written? What is this type of testing called?
um, this type of testing is basically called exploratory testing, we can say that. When we don't have any test cases in advance written, so I will go through the application, and will perform the testing simultaneously. So this is also called the experience based testing also. That is exploratory testing.
Right. Correct. So what you can do in this scenario is, let's say you are having different product types. So you have this credit card type, select any one of the option from that and test with that. Then you go to the all cards, select any one of the option and test with some different option. So testing the different permutations and combinations so as to increase the test case coverage will help you out if you don't have any test cases written. Now, at the same time, you also need some kind of evidence from your testing side that, yes, I have done the testing. Tomorrow, after 1 month, if someone comes and tells, hey, Shirali, can you show me the evidence? What all things did you do? So you can
Yes,
write down high level test scenarios, maybe in an Excel file or maybe in the Jira itself, that the
yes, sir.
high level test scenarios, and you can mark the status whether it is pass fail or not. And once the release is done, then you can write the steps, test steps and test details. But it is
Yeah,
very important that you should have some evidence. So you are telling you will be doing high level documentation, so instead of that you can tell you'll be going for the test scenarios,
yes, ma'am. Yes.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I
now,
can also take if
yeah,
any bug or report is any bug is detected. So I will also take a screenshot and of that defect as a proof, that as evidence that I have.
yes. Correct, correct. Those things are to be done. Like if you get any discrepancy, if you get any defect, things that are not working, then yes, that is a primary responsibility to take a screenshot and raise the defect. But from the test artifacts point of view, sometimes if the test cases are not written, then test scenarios can help you out. Okay. Now, coming to this test cases, do you think test cases are necessary for testing? Because it takes a lot of time, writing these test cases, getting them reviewed with your leads managers, and again updating them. If any changes come, then again you have to update them. Is it fine if we don't write test cases and directly start testing?
Uh, so from my point of view,
Mhm.
the answer is no. We have to make test cases there, because if you are preferring manual testing, so it is very
Mhm.
important that you have test cases.
Okay.
Means test cases will help you a lot in the testing, because it will cover and we will match our test cases with the requirements. uh, in the RTM, when we use the requirement traceability metrics, we will map all the requirements with the test cases. So if we have a good amount of test cases and good number of test cases which are directly mapped with the requirements, so the probability of defects and errors, left out defects and errors, will be very low. So it is very important to have test cases. Yeah, if we have limited amount of time and if we have some time constraint, so we will use the high level test cases, high level test scenarios we will consider at that time. But some documentation and some test cases are necessary for the testing, especially in the manual testing, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. Correct. So test cases are very important. Without test cases, you cannot move further. And test cases are also serving as a part of an evidence of what all
Yes.
things you have tested and what would be the different test cases that you have to perform the testing. Those all things would be important. Okay, now let me share my screen. Okay, now you need to tell me the negative test scenarios for this particular screen. Are you aware about negative testing, positive testing?
Yes, sir.
So you have to tell me the negative test scenarios for this particular screen.
Negative test scenarios.
Yes, yes,
uh,
negative.
okay. Sir, basically, if I will start from the login section, because
Mm.
it is because you are asking directly for the negative test scenarios, I will not
Yes,
cover the UI and UX scenarios and all.
right.
So I will start from the login section. In the
Mm.
username, suppose they are giving me there is some limitation of that text box, that is username, that you will not insert any text more than 8 character longs or 10 character longs. So I will enter 4 characters. I will enter 4 characters and I will exceed the limit. I will enter more than 8 or 10 characters.
Mm.
So, and checking how the application is responding, proper error messages are given that you have exceed the limit. Similarly, I can do with the password. And in some application there are some restrictions that in username you cannot use special characters also, so I can also use special characters in that field. So in that way I will check that the application is functioning properly with the negative inputs, negative scenarios also. Similarly, I can done with the password if they have some limitations with the password, that it must be alphanumeric. So I will enter only numbers. I will enter only alphabets in the password section. So I will make sure that the application will not allow me to move further. And I will go for the captcha also. If in the captcha, in the text box there are written some text and numbers, I will enter some other things.
Other
So it
things means which
means
data? Hmm.
data I will enter the alphanumeric also, but not similar that are visible in the captcha.
Okay.
So this is a negative test cases. And forget username, forget password. These are the next things. But my negative test cases, when I when I enter invalid things in username and password text box, I will make sure that the application will give the proper error message that you are not able to log in and you are not able to make your registration is not successful like this.
Hmm. Okay. Let's say you have this thing written here. Manage, pay, transact anytime, anywhere. And you have this make periodic interest. All these content is written. What if there is a
Yes.
spelling mistake in any of this content? Then what would be the severity and priority of the defect?
Sir, severity is low here, but severity is low, and I think the priority is might be high, or we can say might be high, because this is the very front page, the first page of the application.
Hmm.
It directly means represent the image of the application, that there is some spelling mistake in the front page, and the severity is low because it this spelling mistake cannot harm any functionality of that application or any page.
Hmm. Hmm.
So priority is high and the severity is low, sir.
Okay, correct, correct. Now, consider an example of a user story. You were testing this user story of login functionality. You have
Yes.
written the test cases, you have tested this functionality in QA environment, staging environment, and you have signed it off. You
Okay.
have given a green signal. Now that user story is being tested by your customer or your client. They are not able to log in with their credentials. They are facing an issue with the stories functionality. So they have reopened this user story. What do you think? What can be the possible reasons behind that?
Sir, means they are entering valid credentials or not?
Yes, yes, they are entering valid credentials, but still they are not able to log in. So the functionality which you had tested, it was working fine, but at their end it is not working. So they have reopened that same user story.
Okay.
So what would you do? How would you
So
troubleshoot? Yeah.
yes, sir. So there are multiple possibilities if this thing happen, that there is some browser. I think so. There is some browser. The I mean that
Mm.
user is opening that particular application on the browser which does not support this thing, or it might be. Sir, I don't know how to answer this. It might
Right.
be missed by me.
Okay. See, what happens is at times when you have tested some functionalities, if they are not working at the customer's end, there are multiple reasons. One is you can re-verify the deployment was done properly or not. It might be
Okay.
happening that in the deployment they might would have missed some particular query or some particular things to push in the code, and that's why those functionalities are not working at the client end. Second is you can re-verify the user account which is used by the client. Is it still active? Because if it should be active. If it is inactive, then he or she won't be able to log in, right? Check the user account. So these both things are with respect to troubleshooting the data for which the client is using. The third thing can be maybe they are trying to use alphanumeric username and some password which you might not have covered. You might would have covered negative characters. You might would have covered only alphabetic, only numeric characters.
Okay.
Sorry, not negative, numeric, right? Then spatial characters, right? But they are having a combination of alphanumeric. So those kind of test cases you will incorporate if it is missed at your end. You were telling about browser. Yes, that can also be one of the possibility that the browser in which they are trying to log in is not taking those credentials in that functionality is
Yes,
not
if the
working.
browser is outdated,
Correct.
so this is also one reason.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Right. So that's how you will troubleshoot and you will update your comment in the Jira, your findings in the Jira itself, so that whenever the customer is coming in the next day or when he is waking up on the same day, he or she is getting the updates. Okay, these were the reasons why the functionality was not working.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, Shirali, I am done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Sir, I
Mhm.
want you to scale me and please tell me about. And if you need, I need any modification and also
Right.
please suggest me,
See.
sir.
Yeah. So see, theoretically, you were correct. You were able to answer the definitions, or I would say the differences as well. Then these kind of questions like severity of a bug, priority of a bug, those are good. What you have to practice is from the real-time perspective. Because in a company,
Yes,
you would be applying your theoretical knowledge to the practical things.
yes,
There
yes,
you would be getting projects, there you would be working on the live projects. So those kind of things you have to focus. You have to test these kind of websites and you have to see what are the different test scenarios that you can come out, both positive, negative, UI, UX. Then you can focus on functional test scenarios, right? Such kind of things you have to get more clarity. Okay.
okay,
Yeah, rest all looks good. Communication was good. You were clear enough. And one good thing was that you never gave up for any kind of question. You were attempting and you were knowing the answer of all most of the questions. So that was a good thing, right? Yeah.
yes.
Okay, then. Thank you so much, Shirali, and wish you all the best for your career ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, sir, for this
Yeah.
opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.